Let's roll, baby. Welcome in a Friday edition of the New York Sports Rush presented by the Bet Rivers Network. John Jastrzemski, Chris Lopresti. CeeLo, I'm back from Baltimore, and clearly I brought some good vibes for the Yankees. They go and sweep the Orioles. Better yet, they actually score some runs, for goodness sakes. What a concept. And all of a sudden now, the last time we had a conversation, it was about, division may be cooked. Don't know if they can make much of a move. Well, it's worked out advantageously. They gained some ground on Tampa, 4 back in the division, 4 up on Boston for that top wildcard spot. And despite the injury to Max Fried, which started the week on a rather down note, I'm coming back on Friday, dude. A lot to feel good about all of a sudden with the Yankees.
Number one, I mean, look, they've had a lot of success in Baltimore over the years, but with you in attendance, the fact that the pitching and the offense, I mean, you brought the dust. It's the JJ dust. It's the charmed life. You go down there, you get a sweep, and they're taking care of things and checking things off. They even get the video review that goes their way with the Alonso ball. So everything turned up
Which, by the
JJ,
way,
which
Sue,
was
I'm glad that
typical.
you brought this up. I'm glad that you brought this up because I was there and I had unbelievable seats and a perspective of it. So I think I should
Shocker.
share with the audience. No,
Yeah.
so I'm sitting right behind the Oriole dugout. And when Alonso hit the ball, my immediate reaction, no biases here. I'm not trying to tell you to any bias. It's fair, honest, as straight down the middle as it gets. I said, man, that's really close, but I think it's foul. Then I get all of the replays that you see that they show on the video board, that they show on TV and whatnot, and it looked fair. So I understood why everybody lost their mind. But if you saw a couple of the other replays, see, well, it ended up being a foul ball. The umpires got it right. Like, go back and watch a couple of those replays.
You're
You will see a
certain they
foul
got
ball.
it right? All right. I mean, look, it's a couple of days now, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. I don't know, man. You got guys in the Oriole dugout saying that, well, TrackMan, not TrackMan, Hawkeye had it as a fair ball. I don't know, just based on they seemed pretty definitive about it. And then even in the post game when they asked Boone about it, he's like, "Well, we had it as a foul ball." There was almost like the sly grin on his face, as if to suggest, like, yeah, we kind of got away with one there.
Fair
Radio
enough.
broadcast, Susan and Dave Sims on the Fan, were certain it was going to get overturned, and Susan even said Yankees caught a break there. So it seems like just one of those,
Listen,
depending
I'm
on
just
your
giving you the
perspective, the
perspective.
angle of the replay, that sort of thing. And also the ball's so high over the foul pole, you don't know where it crosses the foul pole, where it's at that point, because it's so high above. It's such a moonshot that you don't have the perspective, because it's hard to tell unless you're standing right under the foul pole looking straight up to know when it crosses over top where exactly it was. That's all. It's a tricky call. I understood why they didn't overturn it, because there wasn't conclusive evidence.
Fair enough. Okay, let's move on to these games as a whole,
Yes.
though. If there's one monstrous positive, obviously the Yankee bats get going, but if you're going to look at one individual, if you're going to look at one ingredient here, what, in your opinion, biggest positive from what you saw in these last 3 games?
Um, One guy individually. I mean, look, Spencer Jones' game last night, him coming along with the bat a little bit, I think starting to figure things out a touch, like not to the point where he's going to be a masher and become a mainstay, especially if Judge comes back and they've got decisions to make with Stanton, and if he's going to DH when he does come back, and how does the outfield mix work, who goes down. But he referenced some adjustments that he's been working on and making, and I just feel like it's a small runway, small sample size, but in the last week or so, he's hitting 300. You're seeing the power on display a little bit. And we know he's an athlete. He can play the outfield, so it's not just like he's a one trick pony. So right now, when you're looking for different guys to get going offensively, I feel like Rice is coming out of it a little bit. Obviously, Lombard has given them some juice and some jolt since he's come up. But look, the mainstays, the guys we know that have been around, we know what to expect. Like, I'm looking for the different dynamics or a different spin on what is a pretty typical Yankee lineup that we've seen year in and year out. And I think down the stretch, if Jones proves that he's good enough to stick as a major leaguer, maybe he's not starting every day, especially when they get bodies back. And Bellinger, of course, has to be added to that mix now that he's on the rehab assignment. I like the fact that the at bats have looked a little bit better for Jones here. Again, small run, small sample size, but he's only had a limited amount of big league at bats. You'd like to see young players make the adjustment and look like they could potentially belong. And I'm starting to feel a little bit more optimistic about him.
I think that's totally fair. I'm going to look at Luis Garcia, though, because I think for this team this year, he's just going to play a much bigger role
Of
because you
course.
hit on it. Listen, Jones encouraged, right? Like the power is there. The at bat quality has been much, much better. But when Aaron Judge comes back, when Cody Bellinger comes back, and with the revival of Trent Grisham, I can't imagine that we'll be sitting there come early October and Spencer Jones is a part of an everyday postseason lineup for the Yankees.
Yeah.
However, Luis Garcia, Yankees traded a couple of guys to go and get him. And after he hit that home run against the Cardinals in his first game, he's kind of been in a rut here. So for him to go and get 3 hits, always starts with a dribbler. Then he
Mm.
ends up hitting one out of the ballpark. I hope we look back on that game, CeeLo, as kind of a jump start for him because the Yankees need his offense. That to me is the bottom line. Like they need guys to go and lengthen this lineup out. And the hope is, hey, Garcia puts the bat on the ball. He can hit for some pop. He can go and hit you fifth or sixth in a lineup once you have the cavalry returning. They got to get this guy going. Like Ramos finally got a hit. Hallelujah.
First RBI in game number 14.
I think hell might have froze over while watching that live. And he got a bad break on the ball, too, because it should have left the ballpark. It hit like the worst crevice in right center field humanly possible.
Yeah.
But that to me would be my guy that I like circle and say, hey, get you going. Hopefully a big start for him. And dude, how good has Cole been? I mean, every single one of these starts. And that's why I wasn't getting nuts early in the year when he didn't look 100% right. I know some people overreact to the home runs. So it's 6, 7 innings every start. He's missing bats. The stuff is there. The command is there. As far as I'm concerned, this is Garrett Cole to me.
Yes, it looks free and easy, and you see the confidence building. And look, long road back from Tommy John, and obviously didn't, pitch a full season. Took him a while to kind of get going back at the big league level. But I mean, the velocity's there, the break on the nasty stuff, and attacking him. I mean, last night, 93 pitches, 70 strikes. He was 22 out of 23 first pitch strikes. I mean, totally looks in command, looks comfortable, looks confident, looks healthy, ball's coming out free and easy, like everything you'd want to see. And when you combine that with Schlittler, and if and when they get freed back, I'm cautiously optimistic it's not going to be a long-term thing, at least if you want to believe what Aaron Boone said. The pitching is really held up nicely, and you can start to project into October, assuming these guys stay healthy down the stretch. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with, even if the offense has its question marks and its struggles. You asked me about the one guy my one takeaway, one player, but my takeaway from the sweep and heading into this big homestand where they're going to see Toronto, Houston, and the 4-gamer with the Red Sox is, despite the fact that they're still missing some guys, there's some optimism surrounding their returns, the way they've pitched, the offense getting going a little bit. This is probably as good as I've felt about the Yankees at any point this season as we start to peek ahead towards the end of the regular season into the postseason.
And a very interesting homestand awaits the
Mhm.
Yankees. Toronto, who's right there for that crummy third wild card in the American League. Somebody's got to win. They're a team with pedigree. They've played really good baseball as of late. They took 2 or 3 from the Yankees last weekend. I think they're going to be that final playoff team in the AL. Houston, up and down. I thought they were dead and buried when the Yankees played them earlier in the year. They obviously have found a new lease on life. It's nice to play in the American League West,
Of
but
course.
they're in playoff positioning. And then, of course, the Red Sox, who are going to try to make the push for getting a home field advantage, which is something the Yankees definitely do not want to surrender in that best of 3. Cole at Fenway Park, a lot of bad history playing at Fenway. No. You want those 3 games at Yankee Stadium, but better yet, you like to see the Yankees go and win the American League East.
Sure.
They got a lot of work to do, though, CeeLo, before we get to that point. This dawned on me, and I'm not trying to pick on the Mets. I'm not. They've actually played really good baseball over the last couple of weeks. Benj has been great. Ewing has been great. Senga coming out to the Michael Jackson.
My guy Nate Lavender, 26, hasn't given up a run yet. I like some of these guys that have gotten a shot from AAA that are producing here at the
CeeLo
major
likes
league level.
auditions. You like bullpen auditions. I
I
totally
like
understand that.
like a guy that's, really waited his turn and been through some ups and downs. And, guys come up sometimes. It's a nice feel good story, and then they get knocked around. This guy is, he's missing bats. He's pitching efficiently. He hasn't given up a run yet. Like, I like stuff like that. I do.
You should. I'll tell you what I wouldn't like, though, if I'm a Met fan. And listen, I'm not trying to make this, add insult to injury. I'm watching Alonso the last couple of days in person. And I'm not watching Alonso every day like it was when he was with the Mets. CeeLo, he's as good as ever.
He's
Like,
also as
as
hot as
good.
he's been all you're catching him at the
But you
time
know
when
what?
he's
No,
as
no, no, no.
hot as he's been all year.
Sure. Look at the numbers that are on the Jumbotron, though.
Well, they're
Again,
coming up. They're coming
this
up
is a
now. Yeah.
team. This is a team that told me at the beginning of the year, oh, what is run? We're worried about run prevention. They signed a guy who had never played first base before in his life to give him $20 million. He stole money. He hasn't played. And oh, by the way, the guy in Baltimore plays every day,
Yes.
posts every day. And you're going to sit there and tell me about 4 or 5 years down the road when you give Juan Soto a $500 million? Give me a break. That is the biggest L the Mets took this entire offseason. We can talk Diaz, the Simeon trade. Who cares? Because now you have the 2 kids in the outfield and you can basically banish him next year. Not signing Alonso was absolutely criminal. It
Yeah.
absolutely was.
And look, he's having one of those stretches right now. And, we saw it at times in his Met career where he'd carry them for, a good chunk of time. And I've got his game log open here. Month of August, hitting 373, 6 homers, OPS north of 1100. So he's peaking at a time when the Orioles are trying to see if they can kind of stay in the mix for one of those wild card spots. And I know it's a soft American league. Do I think that re-signing him would have really changed the nature of this particular Mets season? I don't, because there's so many other things that went wrong and backfired. But if you look at it in a vacuum, the Alonso dynamic with the fan base, the homegrown, all of that, yeah, of course. And I think the majority of Met fans echo your point and feel that way. I know there's maybe that squeaky group that will try to spin the David Stern side of things and taking a look at the long term in the contract, but the reality is when you look at what he has done with his consistency, playing every day, ultimately the numbers are going to pretty much be there at season's end against what the Mets have gotten out of the first base position. It's not even up for debate. I mean, it's a complete and utter disaster for the Mets here in 2026. What it looks like beyond that, I don't know. All we can do is deal in the here and the now. And yeah, it's definitely advantage Alonso, and I'm sure a little feather in his cap that he's having a big time year while the Mets have struggled to find answers at first base.
Enjoy that first base platoon. I don't know how in this offseason you'll find a first baseman better than Pete Alonso, but
Yep.
hey, that's yesterday's news. Were you happy about the fact, as we do some football, that all reports down in South Florida were that the Giants absolutely wiped the floor with my young, inexperienced, pathetic team? Did that give you a little extra pep in your step on Thursday, or is that oh great, they should look thoroughly dominant against the Dolphins?
Yeah, the latter. And we kind of referenced that talking about the Jets on Monday and how, you got to take care of the Dolphins this year. And you reminded me that they haven't won in Miami since Rex Ryan's last game as head coach. Well, look, even the reports, you go through some of the names that were involved in the fisticuffs yesterday and whatnot. I'm like, who are these guys? And I understand I'm not tapped in to the Dolphins the way I am the Giants or the Jets. You would be more so. But, in a year where new head coach, new GM, gutting the roster, flipping things, turning things over, Brian Burns and all the guys, the pass rushing guys the Giants have up front, they better go in there and dominate that team in a joint practice. And Jackson Dart and the Giants offense with the pieces that they have in place better have one of their better practices of training camp, or else that's when you start to feel like, what, I don't really know. We're excited about John Harbaugh and, hope springs eternal and new vibe, new culture, new era, all that stuff. But yeah, I would be more concerned if I wasn't hearing positive reports about both sides of the ball. I'm not going to get too worked up about the fact that they, quote unquote, like you said, wipe the floor with them. Let me go see them duplicate that also with the ones on the field coming up in the preseason game on Saturday.
All right, I can't stress this enough for the Giants. They're going to get after the quarterback if they can
better.
stop the run.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it boils down to me, CeeLo, because if they can't stop the run, it doesn't matter how many great pass rushers they have. They are going to be on roller skates. They are not going to be able to do what they need to do and set the edge because they're going to be on their heels. They're going to be trying to play defense, not in the way you want to play defense, if that makes sense. They need to stop the run. So it's great hearing about Burns. He's a double-digit sack guy. Carter is going to be better in year 2. I don't see how he's not. Thibodeau is playing for his next contract. I love all of those dynamics. If the Giants defensively can stop the run at a good enough level, they don't have to be a top 5 run defense in the league. If they can be in the upper half,
Respectable.
Precisely. If they are respectable, this defense is going to have a whole lot of sacks and they're going to cause a whole lot of trouble.
And also the ability to get all those guys you just mentioned on the field and, Arvell Reese as well, if you're not putting the opposing offense into 3rd and long into those passing situations where they can get these other packages on the field and you kick a couple of those guys inside and now you put maybe the true speed guys or the young guys out on the edge, there's not going to be enough reps to go around because they're not going to put all those guys on the field in their base defense. So that's a factor as well. So stopping the run on the early downs or forcing a team into a 3rd and long where it's an obvious passing situation. Now all of a sudden you trot that NASCAR package that they like to call it, for lack of a better phrase, out there. Put all those guys on the field at the same time. Good luck, scheming up some sort of pass block situation or pass protection situation where you can get hat on a hat for all those guys. Someone at some point is going to come free or have a favorable one-on-one matchup where they should be able to win that matchup and get to the quarterback. Maybe it doesn't always result in a sack, but if you're collapsing the pocket and putting pressure on, that can be impactful as well.
Okay. Preseason game number 2. Is there one particular thing you'd like to see? I mean, result, who the hell cares? Is it Malachi Fields? Is it the run defense? Is it getting after? Like, if there's one thing that will make Chris Lopresti happy, other than the fact that everybody gets out unscathed, which obviously is very, very important in these preseason games, something you were looking for?
Yeah, dart not in the tent, like you said, on the health side. Yeah, I mean, look, the defensive stuff, I don't even put too much stock in that. I don't think they're going to get too complex with their looks, right? It's going to be base vanilla stuff. So I'm looking at individuals and you want to see Fields build off of the flashy play and the touchdown that he had, in week 1 in the preseason opener. And that was almost like sort of a dart escaping the pocket and they're off script. It's not the true route that he's running on that play. So you want to see a little bit more chemistry developed between those two, see him get in and out of his routes, catching up a couple passes and start to stack some good reps, some good film, and some consistency so that you can start to imagine a scenario where even if Neighbors is ready to go from the jump, you have someone that can complement him beyond what the Giants offer in the run game. They've got some capable tight ends, but I'm still wanting to see who's going to emerge as the true number 2 option at the wide receiver position behind Neighbors, assuming that he's ready to go in week 1.
So it'll be the Giants and the Dolphins Saturday, 4 o'clock. It is going to be scalding hot in Miami. I mean,
Heard the
Giants.
humidity was big time yesterday too.
I can only imagine. Listen, I've been there in September, and I can attest to the humidity. It's got to be 1,000 times worse in July and August. But hey, get you ready for those hot September games if indeed the Giants have one. And listen, the good news for them is night game week 1 against the Cowboys, then in Los Angeles week 2.
Climate controlled. Yep.
You figure by the time they get themselves back here week 3, week 4, it's not going to be totally, totally insane. So
Fair point.
we shall see on that. We have the Jets later on this evening, CeeLo. Preseason game number 2 for them against the Steelers. And it's an easy one for me. This is about Klubnik, and this is about a couple of those young wide receivers. Like Cooper, what exactly are you? Are you going to ascend and be a part of this thing, or is it going to take time? We're not going to see you until the final 2 months of the year. You haven't gotten the most glowing scouting reports about the work we've seen from him. Klubnik, you've gotten a whole lot of positives, and it sure seems like, CeeLo, I had Brian Costello on New York Sports Rush a couple of days ago. The Jet people that are around the team seem okay with the idea that Klubnik could go and be the backup quarterback. They better be right on that. Tell you that. They better be right.
Yeah, that's a little concerning, more so for Klubnik's development. I mean, look, if they're turning to a backup early in the season, obviously something's gone wrong. It's likely you're talking about an injury to Geno. And I don't know. I know some people feel like, hey, when roster cuts shake out, they'll find a veteran to add that's better than the Bailey Zappies of the world because he really if you tell me I'm choosing between Klubnik and Bailey Zappi, I'm going to take Klubnik, even though he's a 4th-round rookie who, you don't want to press into action before he's ready to go. What I do like, and you reference what you're hearing, what Costello's hearing, and he even said it himself. I remember I want to say maybe it was rookie minicamp, just being around him a little bit and watching him operate. the moxie, the leadership qualities. Like those are all good things you want to hear talking about rookie quarterback in New York. We've seen plenty of guys who were taken much higher in the draft with more expectations come in and sort of have that deer in the headlights, not realizing what they're getting themselves into. Now it's nice that it's a little bit more of a soft landing spot for Klubnik where the expectations, at least at the start, aren't so high. Gino's here, veteran. They didn't, invest a premium pick in this kid. And you like the fact that on paper, it could be more of a developmental situation. So yes, looking forward to watching more of him, but also at the start, want to see Gino after missing week 1, go out there, function in this offense, build some in-game chemistry with the likes of Garrett Wilson and whoever else is going to step up as an option jet receiving wise and play behind this offensive line. And what is a new offense for him? I'd like to see him put behind him. I'm sure some of the PTSD he's got from his Raiders experience last year with a terrible offensive line where he was running for his life. And, it's been 10 years, give or take, since the Jet fans have watched him in a Jet uniform. There's some bad taste probably left over from some of that. He's a much different player, different person probably at this point in his career, but some results early on, preseason or not. Understand it doesn't count, but let's see him put some good stuff on film, get out of there unscathed, healthy, make a couple plays, and then hand it over to Klubnik.
And Sewell, as the Jets move closer and closer to week 1, I can't stress this enough. They need a fast start. Like, if you're of the mindset that this year is going to be more enjoyable, more competitive, more watchable, that can't be 0-4 to start the year.
Oh,
It just can't. Because the way the schedule sets up, Sewell, and I know things change. You lose the Titan game in week 1, it's, oh my God, Packers, Lions, Bears. Yeah. We talked about it. Like, yikes. That's a problem. And then all of a sudden, it's here we go again. And we remember how non-competitive it felt the Jets looked for good chunks of last year. It was the beginning of the year after the Steeler game. Then, obviously, it was the end of the year with Brady Cook at quarterback. I want to have watchable football. That honestly, that's my hope for the Jets. I know it's a very,
low bar,
very low
but
bar.
it's a realistic
Can I have
bar,
something
though,
to watch on a weekly basis that is at least like a reasonable expectation of what NFL football should be?
And you hate to put so much emphasis on that first game because it's a long season.
Not that long, though.
I know, and the way in which it shapes up after that. And the games we talk about them on paper. They're not played out on paper. And like you said, things can change. And, it's a road game. You've got the Salah angle, obviously. So there's a lot of emphasis on it. And even like, hey, losing a close game, moral victory. I don't know how much that does for you because of what awaits. The difference when we talk about how non-competitive they were a year ago, and they don't have to look that far back to recall, Woody Johnson publicly talking about, hey, well, if the quarterback could complete a pass, and the Justin Fields led offense where at times, if he wasn't making plays with his legs, just kind of unwilling to cut the ball loose down the field. Say what you want about Geno Smith, arm strength wise, aggressiveness wise, sometimes to a fault where he's putting the ball into harm's way. Hopefully you don't see too much of that, but veteran quarterback with a little bit of a track record now, some weapons to work with, and a real established offensive coordinator with a history of success in the league. No disrespect to Tanner Engstrand, but learning on the job last year and kind of with his hands tied behind his back a little bit as far as the personnel goes, I gotta believe this Jet offense is going to offer more than last year's Jet offense did. And there should be a trickle-down effect to the defense, who at times did their job of holding teams down. Maybe not in those early weeks of the season, but the Denver game, the Carolina game, 13 points apiece, and the offense not being able to do enough to get them a victory. I would think complementary football should be a little bit more on display with this Jet team. And maybe that allows for them to find a win or two somewhere in these early stages of the season.
So before we say goodbye, I need your help here. I want to put together an SGP on the Bet Rivers site for Friday's Yankees Blue Jays game.
Okay.
We're going to take the Yankees to win. Schiller on the mound. Now, this is where you got to advise me. Do we go 6 or 7 strikeouts? Now, mind you, 6, you're going to have to pay a premium. It's a little under 3-1. It's going to hurt the parlay. 7 gets us to -113. Remember, Toronto, a lot of contact.
Yeah, I was looking at his game log earlier, and he's had a couple starts against the Jays. Last time out, actually, up in Toronto, he
They
had
made him work.
7 and
Yeah, they
yeah,
made
he
him
had still
work.
had 7 Ks, 5 and a third, and then earlier in the season at home against the Jays, this was back in late May, also 7. So we're kind of like right on the
You're
fringe
okay.
there.
So are you okay with 7? Should we go 7 or
Yeah,
6?
my only concern is, facing the same team in consecutive starts. He's probably gonna have to come up with a little bit of a different plan. Talk about the contact with the Jays. 6 might be the safe way to go.
All right, we'll go 6. We got to do something with Clement here. Kills the Yankees. He's one of my favorite players in baseball.
Yes.
Do we go
Yes.
Clement to get a hit, or do we go Clement over total bases?
Well, give me the prices
Well,
on
you're going to lay 2-1 juice on Clement to get a hit. If we go
get a
total
hit.
bases here,
Bases.
all right. So you want to do total bases?
Well, what do we get two over 1.5 total
Total
bases. What's the
bases, we
number
get
there?
plus 160 here. We could juice this baby pretty good.
Yeah, I think you gotta
So,
be if we're taking the safer approach with Schlittler, you gotta press it somewhere. So maybe
all
go
right, we
2.
got 2 plus total bases for Clement,
Yep.
plus 461.
Okay.
Do you want to add a leg to our parlay? It's your choice.
Hmm. How about something with the kid? How about something with Lombard? What can we do there? What do we like there?
We want to take him to get a hit. We want to take him to score a run. A hit's probably safer.
Or what about a stolen base market somewhere
Oh,
on the Rays?
now we're really
We're
getting
kidding.
nuts.
No, you don't like stolen base. All right, so we keep it
I mean,
safe.
we could.
All right, how
Look,
about how about this? He's done a pretty good job of being Lombard, I'm talking about being
uh-huh.
productive. Last night, not really a part of it in a night where the Yankee offense, took care of business on its own, right? He takes an 0 for 4, a couple of strikeouts. He bounced back with a hit tonight. Keep it safe, just 1 hit. We don't go bases. Where does that take us to if we throw in a Lombard hit?
A Lombard hit. Oh, you're going to like this, Sewell. Plus 736 on Bet Rivers.
Now, the only thing is, I haven't seen. We don't know who's going for the Jays yet, right? Still undecided. So that's a little.
TBD.
Yeah, I mean, not that it's a huge deal because he's not going to have
It's
any.
not going to be Dylan Cease. Don't worry about that. He's pitching
Yeah,
tomorrow.
throw a Lombard hit in there. I like that.
All right, we're going to do that. I hope you guys tail here on the Bet Rivers site because I hit an SGP yesterday. I want to
Of
hit
course you
another one
did.
today.
The
So
dust.
let's have a little fun with this. 4-legger, Yankees to win. Schlittler 6 strikeouts. Our guy Ernie Clement 2 plus total bases, and the kid,
The kid.
George Lombard, to go and get a base hit. See
I
what?
like it.
Ton of fun. Enjoy your weekend. When are you back next week here on the Bet Rivers?
You as well, my friend. I'm not entirely sure yet. I haven't got my marching orders on
TBD.
that, but
That
I
is
look
a
forward. I look forward to it, whatever it is.
tremendous. You and Carver were great on Wednesday. That's
It was
going to do
good
it for
catching up
me
with
and
Mikey.
for
Yeah.
Mr. Lopresti. The boys are out. Enjoy your weekend. Be good, everybody.